Thursday, 16th of November 2023. In this evening's show, we go over the latest Derby Day disappointment. This time at Bolton, as Poole went down to a solitary goal and couldn't muster a single shot on target. We also briefly look at yesterday's 2-1 win over Morecambe in the Tin Pot Cup and look ahead to Shrewbury at home this coming Saturday. I'm John Aspinall. This is Seaside's podcast. Well, let's call it an extra time show. Tough shit at the Toughsheet. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Seaside's podcast on a Thursday evening. Even everyone in the chat, welcome on the audio pod. I'll say welcome to you first, Nick, as again you are on Avatar. We did get a brief look at you in the green room, but wasn't very flattering the angle you were at, was it? I think if they were making a remake of Return of the Jedi, Jabba the Hutt may be a part you could potentially play, or is that a bit too hard?
Yeah, well, you know, I'm led in bed. I've just done all my stretches with my back and thought, right, getting somewhere, and then had a really bad back spasm, and I'm back lying down. Unfortunately, I'll be glad when it's all over. But yeah, unfortunately, you don't get to see my face, which I'm sure you're all gutted about.
Pain at the Toughsheet and pain doing this. Tim, yes. Another big away following, another disappointment. Nothing changes, does it?
Our record when we take large numbers away isn't the best, is it? I think we were discussing that on the preview show, and you could have almost written the script. Because you want, when you get a big crowd like that, you want a goal, don't you? And to be fair, I was listening to Critchy's post-match just before we came on, just a bit of an aide-memoire, to coin a phrase from our ex-owner. And
what was that? Aide-memoire?
Aide-memoire.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Was that Owen's
favourite?
Was it?
Owen had an aide-memoire, which helped remind him what the terms of his agreement with Valeri, which was complete and utter bullshit, basically, nothing to do with reality. There's a surprise, but so it featured quite heavily in the court case. Did aide-memoire?
Oh, right, okay.
So anyway, back to we were talking about it, weren't we? And I was listening to Critch. I think Critch sort of had that feeling as well, that it's very incredibly disappointing when you've got like the numbers like that behind the goal, that there's no limbs at any point in the game, which is what you want, really, isn't it? Because it was a good turnout, and you know, all well, unless you're on the train, a good day.
Tell you what, that Middlebrook shopping retail park's pretty comprehensive, isn't it? I never really realised you can eat, drink, and be merry on there, can't you?
Mm.
No traditional pubs though.
No, so yeah, it is disappointing. You know, so you could just go back. It's like there's a litany of games, isn't there? Particularly derby matches where we've gone away in big numbers and just. I think probably the Preston games in that the noughties where we were sort of building up to getting promoted to the Premier League probably stand out as an oasis of positivity in a rather otherwise very dismal derby away experience. But we had those two on the trot, didn't we? Which was sort of, well, there was a 0-0 thrown in there, I think, as well. But we had the Wes Hoolahan and the Charlie Adam game. But other than that, I'm really, you know, whether we're going to Blackburn or whether we're going to Preston or whether we're going to Bolton, you know, it's thin pickings, isn't it?
Even Wigan, Andy, we weren't there last season. They were in a right mess. We were on reasonable form, lost there, but bumped into you outside the Toughsheet before kick-off, didn't I? Yeah. You weren't enthused at the...
I walked down from work, so I hadn't needed the train or the car park fees or whatever. And just I walked down from work with a Bolton fan. And I'll say hello to Joe. He's had the what he considers the best day of his life on Saturday. So, well,
Is that a day spent with you, Andy, or because Bolton beat
yeah. He didn't think it was the best day of his life when he heard mine moaning at night. No.
I must say, Andy, when I bumped into you, you weren't very confident at all.
No, I wasn't.
Going into the game, I think you were proven to be right.
Because and the reason why I wasn't confident really was that Bolton fans have been telling me all week, and they've been climbing into me and have since, that the only two teams that have really gone and attacked them are Wigan and Carlisle, and both of them have comprehensively beaten them 4-0 and 3-1. Right, and I had no faith that Critch would just take the shackles off and go at Bolton, and really go at them, and push them back, and so they got no room to play their game, and I just had no faith in him, and I had every right to have no faith in him because we went out with a whimper. Really, I thought we were okay for 15, 20 minutes maybe, but.
In defence of our esteemed manager, he's had to deal with some pretty unfortunate and quite critical injuries and absences, hasn't he? So, when you sort of work your way through the team, particularly I think Lavery before kickoff, that
was a real kick in the bollocks, wasn't it? Pretty much
massive. Just when the guys hit a rich vein of form.
Unbelievable.
And he scored 3 in the last 4 games, I think it was.
Back to full fitness.
And then you learn that, and you think, how many frigging hamstring injuries have we had? And then he's got the enforced absence of Dougal as well, hasn't he? And he's got Casey out as well, who's his which in his preferred back three if he's going to play a back three. So that we spoke about this, didn't we? About we wouldn't have done mainly because of the personnel that we had available, and so you've got 3 pretty critical players there, I think. And so if you're going to defend him in relation to his approach to the game, it is that he is to coin the phrase hamstrung by
no pun intended
and absences.
But Tim, if those people had been available, okay. Do you think that he would have gone, right, we have to get right in their face from minute 1 and we have to go at them? And I've looked at those games and those teams have really, really pushed them back and pushed them back and pushed them back. And it wouldn't have changed. It still would have been the same, just with better players put in.
I accept that point.
Situation.
I do.
Right?
I don't think anybody would have expected us to go gung ho at them, would they?
No,
but if I can jump in, I do think if Lavery had been playing, I mean, you could see that on the odd occasion where we did kind of a couple of times, Carey broke away and it petered out. It was poor in the final third. But I said to I think it was Graham or Jim, you can see how they would fold a bit. From Wigan and Carlisle actually going at them. They did look a bit worried, but we just didn't have that quality in the final third. And I think, if you had Lavery running at them, it could have been a different story. I don't necessarily think it'd have been, like you say, gung ho from the off.
No, but the question really is, Nick, there, and that this is what I'm going to ask you now. If Lavery had been fit, who would Critchley have dropped?
Probably Dembele.
Yeah, maybe with the being.
There you go. And Dembele was probably the most dangerous.
I mean, he really needs. I think somebody said in the chat, probably if we were going to have a go at them, we needed to play Kouassi, didn't we? Because
Steve, negative lineup.
It is, and it's a point I made in the past that Jordan Rhodes up front on his own doesn't particularly work well. I think he had his moments as I thought his little touch through to Dembele when he hit the outside of the post was very, very intuitive, because he sort of used this. If you watch it back, he uses like the side. He heads it sideways, knowing that it's just going to create a bit of space. But it's thin pickings, isn't it? Where if he's got somebody up front with him as a proper centre forward with him, with Dembele then coming in behind, that's how we would have attack the game for me. And he's also been unfortunate because CJ's probably had the most anonymous game he's had for quite a long time. And that's a game. If he's going to play him, he's got to perform in this game, hasn't he? And it's a feature of the season so far that when we've had the big games, probably Barnsley accepted away, we've come up short. We've come up short against Derby, against Peterborough, chucked it away against Charlton, come up short against Bolton, and these are all teams who are going to be in around the top, aren't they? But they are. They're up there already. They're 12 points ahead of us, most of them at this stage, 10, 11 or 12. That's going to be a hell of a task to catch that up now, I think.
What else could he have done with the team lineup then? I'll just read it out. Grimshaw, Pennington, Ekpateta. They played all right, actually, in the centre-half role. Husband as a 3. Hamilton, Morgan, Norburn, Carey. Thompson with Rhodes and Dembele up front, as was mentioned. He was sticking with the same formation no matter what, wasn't he? Much to our...
I think we knew that. I mean, with the fact that we went to 4 was what we wanted to see. And actually, to be fair, the 3 worked, as you touched upon, John, didn't it? The 3 worked, actually, in our concerns over putting Marv in the middle of that 3 probably weren't justified looking at the way the game actually panned out. I thought the back 3 did reasonably well. I think where we start to come up a bit short is then in the wing-back positions, which he doesn't necessarily know beforehand, but I think most of us would have started Dale or Lyons ahead of Thompson in that game, personally. I think we're going to lose Lyons. I think he's going to go in January because there's something gone on there. Whether he's most certainly not on the sat at the front of the class with a gold star on from Headmaster Critchley, is he, at the moment, for whatever reason? He seems to be out in the cold a bit.
Maybe it's, I don't know, Tim, is it a mixture of fitness and getting over his dad, possibly?
No, I don't think it is. I don't think he doesn't look like he's in the plans for whatever reason. And whether there was a bit of a rumour going around pre-season, wasn't there, that he was expressing some dissatisfaction, and whether he's blotted his copybook, I don't know, but he doesn't seem to be getting anywhere near the team, and you're never going to get match fit if you're not playing. I mean, he looks all right on Tuesday night. I thought he had quite a decent game, but he was like one of the highlights of last season was Andy Lyons. So how does a player who's that good all of a sudden not be able to get into a League One side? I don't get it.
I think he's certainly a better option as a wing back than either Thompson or Hamilton, to be fair.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Tim says, you wonder what the reason is, because looking at it, if it's based purely on footballing ability, I absolutely don't get it. Because, like you say, he looked decent in the Championship. Still a bit to learn, still a bit raw, but you'd expect that with where he'd come from. But in terms of that role,
just to add, Nick, sorry, he wasn't even on the bench against Bolton.
No,
yeah,
and like you say, he's been through a very difficult time, and you'll totally understand if his head's not right. But he's played since then. I think he scored against it was a Liverpool I think it was Liverpool on the 21s in the whatever it's called now, Dave's Garage Cup, and he's looked good when he's played. And like you say, in that modern day wing back role, he's ready made for it. So. It must be something, that we're probably not going to find out about, but it will be a crying shame if we do lose him, because, when I saw him play last season, I thought we've got a player here who, if he continues to develop, he could go on to, to great heights. He could be somebody we could, with the model as it is, supposedly, you buy these players, you pick them up, you develop them for a couple of seasons and then sell them on. He could be one who, if he carried on and if we got it back into the Championship, I think he could have gone for a lot of money. And like you say, as it stands, he's not even making the bench for most league games. So it's a it's a real head scratcher, isn't it? But we don't know the reasons why. But it will be a real shame if he does go, because I just thought he would be a massive part of our squad this season.
Let's just discuss the bench then, which was O'Donnell, Connolly, Dale, Joseph, hooray, finally, Weir, Kouassi and Oakley Booth. Should any of
take
those
Oakley
lot
Booth's
started?
position, couldn't he?
What's
he
that?
could take Oakley Booth's position on the bench because he's useless. I honestly watched him on Tuesday and Oakley Booth, and he was anonymous in the first half an hour. Completely anonymous. He looked like he was hiding out the game. He came into it a bit more in second half, but like he's not good enough. He's just not good enough for us. That's personal opinion.
Let's have a quick look at this comment from Michael Haig. My concern is we don't have the quality in the squad to play the system that he still insists on playing the system. We're all at C.
Yeah,
I have to agree with that, particularly with the wing backs. I don't think we've got two wing backs that are good enough to play this system, and he's just hell for leather. He's hell bent on playing the system, isn't he?
Well, maybe. Obviously, we had Gabriel back in on Tuesday. Actually, if you're going to do it, Gabriel and Lyons are the two who probably are the most likely to be able to actually do it consistently and effectively, I would suggest. Now, obviously, he's had a problem with Gabriel because he's been out from falling off whatever he fell off, and he's taken ages to recover. So that's been out of his hands.
45 he played on Tuesday.
Yeah,
he played
he looked good again. He looked full of it, didn't he? He was very positive in his approach.
Yeah.
He'll probably get a start sometime in February. But you know, at the moment, I think you know the point. You know, Michael makes a valid point in that. You know, we're not adapting to what we've got and making the best of what we've got. We're sticking with the system and putting the old proverbial square pegs in round holes.
It's amazingly frustrating for all of us, and for my sins, I bent the ear of the CEO on Tuesday night. Shouldn't do it without asking. Do it without asking one of our Twitter friends before he attacks Tim for it. But no, I just decided to try and have a word with him, and put some of our frustrations over. And he, you know, without going into the whole conversation, he just asked me. He asked me a question: is this different from when Critchley was here before? And I said, massively different.
It is, yeah. It is.
Massively different, because I said then it was a project and we all bought into it and there was full buy-in from everybody, right? But once he's gone, right, and walked out on us, how do you expect us to accept the same thing again? And, you know, but this is worse. This is a lot worse. And he's, you know, my view is he's a frightened manager. He's frightened to lose. He just doesn't have. He only has bravery when he has to have it. E.g., 2-0 down to Fleetwood, and the crowd are singing "Sort It Out, Critchley," and then he just has the bravery because he has to have it. Peterborough 3-0 down and he throws the kitchen sink at it, right? And we were great, weren't we?
As well, Andy. Chasing the game, Oxford went for it.
Woeful. And then suddenly, second half, we're just a lot better in the last half an hour, right? And it's an ever-recurring theme. We're not the ones making the running. Like, I think you could sort of... Well, you could certainly recollect one game, maybe, where we've been in the ascendancy, and that was against Stevenage, where we've really been in the ascendancy, and the opposition haven't really deserved nothing. But Burton, maybe.
Cheltenham.
You know, Cheltenham first half.
Third was just
you felt
first
like
30 minutes, Andy. It wasn't. We didn't keep it going, did we? We stopped after.
It was
30
shite
minutes.
in that second half. weren't we?
But I go back
Right,
to
Nick,
what
go
the
on.
Bolton lads said though last week. We're looking at them, above us and stuff, and he said we can't put a 90 minutes together. It's sort of one half or the other. So I don't think we're not the only team in that position. And despite all of that, we're eighth. We're not languishing in the bottom six. I think there has been some good stuff, and I do get the point that I think it's kind of it's safety first, isn't it? And that's where a lot of the frustration is, because we could probably be doing better than we are, undoubtedly.
Well, Everett was looking to change it, wasn't he, on 60 minutes to win the game. He was looking to mix it up, and I don't want it to become across too negative, but we tend to react more to what the other team does rather than being the one on the front foot. And I've always said, I actually think we've got one of the best squads in the division. And it's incredibly frustrating that we're for me, we're not showing that at the moment. And it's probably because, we are very reactive. We are very conservative. And the squad have clearly got it in them to actually step up a gear. If they are, we've talked about the handbrake before, haven't we? Is the analogy, and it very much feels like we're playing with that handbrake on all the time. And I don't think, we could have predicted what happened on Saturday pre-match, and it is a recurring theme. And I want us to, particularly when we go away from home, I want us to actually go at teams a bit more, and impose ourselves on them. And we've had this. It's been, even the first time round, we always felt that the team we put out is an attempt to counter the opposition, rather than thinking, let's let the opposition think about us more. And I think it was only towards the end of that season where we got promoted, probably the last 15, 20 games, that the shackles seemed to come off a bit more. And maybe Critch got some confidence in the team that he had and realised how good they were and let them play. But we should let this team play, because I think they are. I genuinely believe they're good enough. I don't have it that we haven't got the right squad. I think Simon's probably our squad is pretty much as expensive as any in the division, I expect, in wages wise. Can't imagine many more. You look around. I know we've had a few out, but I think we've got. Well, I think you could perm 20 into the 11, and they're all pretty decent. But they're going out, for me, they're going out with the wrong mindset. Now, where that's coming from, is it coming from Critch? Is it just...
No, it's got to be, Tim. It's got to be.
I think,
no one else.
Fair, I'm trying to be fair, but I do think it is coming from him. But I'm trying to keep it open for the discussion that where is it coming from? But it seems to come from the instruction.
Well, there has been a couple of interviews where he said, that wasn't the message and that wasn't the way I want us to play, which kind of contradicts that bit, doesn't it? Because you think, well,
it does.
If he's giving them the message, go for it, and we're not doing, is it a mindset of the players? Or is it, like you say, we're trying to get players to play in positions that they're not naturally comfortable with, and that's hamstringing us to a certain extent? I don't know. But, I mean, first time round, it was, it took us a while to get going, didn't it? And then when we did, well, look, we got promoted. So, like you say, we've got a decent squad, and particularly, like we're at home on Saturday, you just want to see us go for it a bit more, don't you?
I think if he starts Lyons and Gabriel, that'll be a statement. 2 proper wing backs, as opposed to 2 players that have been shoehorned into the wing back position.
I mean, to be fair, CJ, like we said last week, he has had some very good games, but when he doesn't, or it doesn't quite happen for him, he can be ineffective. And on the other side, Thompson wasn't really getting forward. I thought it was there wasn't a lot in it, was there, on Saturday? And it was, the longer it went on, you just thought 1 goal wins it, and the longer it went on, you thought it's probably not going to be us, because we just didn't have it in the final third. And like Tim said, because when we heard that, there was a rumour that Lavery was out, so you thought, right, I just expected Kouassi to be starting if Lavery wasn't, because it brings the best out of Rhodes. He was ploughing a bit of a lone furrow, wasn't he? And you could see, there was a bit of frustration there because he just wasn't getting the service and didn't look like he was going to. And then as the game went on, they start to come into it a bit more. And like you say, he's made changes, and Everett's made changes, and you just thought they're building a bit of a head of steam here, whereas we never really did we? You never thought, right, we've had 10, 15 minutes there. I think we were cheering a corner at one point because, there hadn't been anything else really, had there? Like you say, there's the shot.
But I think, do you not think most managers? I think he's got too much faith in CJ for one, and yes, in one game in 5, he will do really, really well, and then that seems to carry him for the next 3 or 4 games until he has his next half decent performance. But I think most managers in that game would have probably hooked CJ on 60 minutes because it just wasn't his day, was it? It wasn't happening for him. But I think he leaves him on because I think he thinks if he gets away once, then that might get us the goal. But the problem is sometimes I think you've got to read the way the game's going a bit more and think it actually ain't going to happen today, and change it. Maybe, David's saying CJ's done better than 1 in 5. I don't think he's been very good in more than 1 in 5.
I think I don't know. I think he, like I said last week, I think he's probably had a spell of 3 or 4 games where he'd done really well. When you have the North Stand singing his name, and then I think Peterborough, they had him pretty well sussed, didn't they? Where he didn't have that space to run into. And again with Bolton on Saturday, he did have some chances to get into space, but he didn't. When he did beat his man, he wouldn't perhaps get a cross in, and so I think he's been better than he has been. But I do get the point that when it isn't happening for him, it just, like you say, he's probably, he can be. But
he's anonymous, but he always stays on. That's my point. He very rarely gets substituted. And all I'm saying is, I don't want to dig out CJ because he has played so well in some games, particularly recently. All I'm saying is when it's not happening for him on 60 minutes, then he needs to be hooked. And let's try something different. But we don't. We stick and think, well, we'll leave CJ on just in case. And then actually, that's been a bit disrespectful to the other players who maybe could offer something slightly different. And so maybe if Kouassi had come on a bit earlier, for instance, and maybe Dembele could have gone out on the wing for a while. I'm just using that as a simple example of, Dembele gets hooked after 60, 65 minutes because the perception seems to be he can't play the full game. Maybe if he goes out on the wing, he's got a little bit more time, can get a few more breathers and still be effective when the ball's in the top third.
I wanted to talk about the substitution, actually. Obviously, we're into the second half now. I said to Ben, who I was with, I said he needs to take Thompson off. He's a mistake waiting to happen. He's been booked. He was getting a bit erratic, and it should have been.
You weren't the only one, John.
Yeah,
you weren't the only one. There were people saying it around us, and I was saying the same thing when AD was saying this, looking at it with the same set of eyes, really.
So it should have been Dale for Thompson. That's what I said. I don't want to say that. It's easy to say after the event, but we were saying that. But let's just bring the conversation back to the fact that Bolton were coming into the game, and you could see it. Everybody could see that Bolton were on the front foot. They were not dominating possession per se, but they were riding on a wave of 5-10 minutes in pressure, and something had to change, didn't it? That wasn't the change that we needed at the time.
Honestly, I do not know what he was looking at in that second half. He finally woke up probably 15 to 20 minutes after the fans. And
it's incredible, isn't it? That we can all see this. We can all see it coming. Bolton scoring.
It's bloody horrible because, I'm just sitting there moaning me because, my expectations are higher of this group of players than what this manager is getting out of them. My expectations of the club are higher than this manager is doing at the minute. 24 points after 17 games is not okay. It's not okay.
Does
Right?
anyone see us going on a run?
No,
Does anyone see it happening?
personally, no.
Well, I think you've got.
Anyone could. Any team could.
Nick will.
Go on, Nick.
Well,
Go on,
yeah.
Nick.
Well,
Double drop some Tamazipan. Away you go, Nick.
no, I think, of course, we're capable of it. I mean, we did it last time, didn't we? And I know it's different squad and everything, but you look back over seasons and there's teams who are, bottom 6 or bottom half at Christmas and then go on a mad run. I think with the squad we've got, we are capable. I think, we've got Joseph back now, so that gives us another option up top. I do think, the midfield and wide position, we've still not quite cracked yet. Whether that's going to take a transfer window or not, I suppose we will see. I think it's fine lines in a lot of games. There wasn't a lot of quality in that game, was there? And I think even if you look, it's interesting. If you look on the Bolton forum, quite a few of their fans were quite complimentary about us. Said I think you'll do well in this division. So I think we've got to remember it's League One and it's maybe not the best quality.
But we're not doing well, are we? Don't matter if they told
Well,
us.
we're eighth, so we're eighth.
Yeah, I know, but you look at Nick. You look at the league. Go and take yourself off.
12 points behind the top 3.
Right, with 12 points behind.
And they've got a game in hand, I think.
They've got a game in hand. 11 points behind Oxford, they've got a game in hand. 11 points behind Bolton, and they've got a game in hand. Right? Peterborough and Stevenage, we've got the same games as.
Play for?
Yeah, I know. That's what the analogy from Garrett was the other day when someone was having a pop at him. Right? He said, lot of points to play for, yeah. But, we can't keep losing them. We can't. I mean, effectively, if we go the other way, we looked at it with a glass half full, right? We're 2 points off. We're 2 points ahead of 12th, and they've got a game in hand, right?
Yeah.
So, I think we're 8th, and we don't deserve to be even that high, right? And we need to wake up, and we need to understand that we need to take this league on, right? And as I said to Julian Winter the other night, right, the best times that Blackpool have ever had in their history, right, or sorry, in our lifetimes, I suppose, right, were when we attacked, when we took the game to the opposition, right, under Holloway, and that was an unbelievable time. And look what it impacted to the stands, and look what it impacted to everything else around the town. Absolutely brilliant, right? But I do not, and I do not want to watch this careful slow possession-based football anymore. I don't want to watch it.
Do you know what I noticed, Andy, actually, and this was a positive for me on Saturday, was Joseph coming on. I thought he had a nice little cameo and showed a lot of positive attributes. But what I could see already, he was getting a little bit frustrated. He was showing for the ball, playing the ball in somebody, and then showing again. And I think he got a bit frustrated by how passive we were. Bear in mind, we're chasing the game, and we should be go. So. Yeah. You could almost see it in his body language, thinking, Jesus Christ, why hasn't that come back to me? And it was because we're ponderous. And I think that's something that we've got to try and break out of, because I think we've got quite a good player there in Joseph, and he could be, he could be a real star if we play him right. But if we don't play him right, and obviously if he was at Swansea last year, I think they play obviously a possession-based game, but he looks like he's used to the ball coming to him quite quickly. We need to speed it up. But he looks like him, and he could be a good foil for Rose potentially.
It's funny how Villa have gone flying up the league since he left. No, but it's how. When was the last time you saw us play like Hamilton, play a quick 1-2, and then he plays it in, and then to maybe a centre forward. I think, in fact, the goal.
Stevenage at home when he scored that screamer.
Yeah, there you go. And Rhodes played him in. Right, it's the last that was what I expect. If you're gonna play like that. Attack teams just with, he's got pace. So set up so he can play the ball into somebody and then take it back. Right? But so little of that is done. We don't play attacking intent with the attacking intent that we need to play. And I don't think it's that the players don't want to win or anything like that, or they're not trying or whatever. I just think they're being hamstrung by tactics, and they're not, for all this super coach, right? Coach these players. If you want to play that system, coach the players to play, and so they can play it fast. End of rant.
Ridian Williams says, so frustrating. We should be a 4-4-2 side, which suits our best players. Critchley is too stubborn to change, which will ultimately cost him his job.
Can I just quickly add one tiny thing, because we alluded to it earlier, right? And or somebody did, about Sadler, right? Apparently Bolton were in for Norburn in the pre-season, and he came to us. I don't think he was coming to us because it was a better training ground.
So we're paying the players. That's the
your
point you're making, presumably, isn't it?
I'm sure.
And this goes back to, I think we probably, our budget is as big as any team in the league. And I think Simon Sadler's thought that we can win the league this year.
We've got the squad. We've got the squad.
I picked us to win the league, and I wasn't. I don't think that pre-season, that positivity was misplaced. I think we've got the squad to win the league, but we're coming up short in every game that matters. It's all right saying, well, we competed, but we lost, or we drew, but the only team in the top half really that we've beaten. And I think, and at the time I thought, well, maybe we're going to, is Barnsley away, where I thought that's a good result. But every one of the other big ones, we've not done the business.
Barnsley and Stevenage, I think, were good results.
Yeah, to be fair, that's a couple.
But apparently Stevenage had a few missing that day.
I don't think Stevenage will be up there at the end of the season. I might be wrong, but I'm looking at your Peterboroughs. We've got Portsmouth coming up. Can we see ourselves getting a result there?
Unbeaten. Hang on, let's get the fixtures up, Tim. Hang on. There you go. Go on. There you go.
So that's a tough one. That's a real tough one coming up against Portsmouth. Carlisle. I don't think Carlisle are doing that clever, are they? Not sure where Northampton are, to be honest, either. Shrewsbury, I think, are on 20 points, but they're a bit of our bogey team, aren't they? I think we haven't beaten them in God knows how many years.
Still not beaten Bolton away since the mid-80s either, have we?
Yeah, well, I was there. Those of a certain vintage, we spoke about that, didn't we? The 3-1 win. That was, God, I can't believe it. That's like 40 years nearly.
God.
I think he's got to the end of December with our fan base tops.
I agree, Andy.
Unless there's a massive, massive sea change between now and the end of December, I think Bloomfield Road will turn.
December looks like a lot of winnable fixtures in December. To be
just
fair.
about to say that, Tim.
If you're going to go on a run, it's after Portsmouth, isn't it? Well, I suppose you could like if a good win on Saturday, and then suddenly you could. But do you have any faith in him really going in attacking those games, unless he feels like he's in a corner now after these games and he just thinks, right, okay, I need to throw the shackles off now.
Do you know when I look at those fixtures, I look at every single month, and I think we should be winning most of those.
Well, look at August, Tim. We all thought that at August, didn't we? Thought, right, we're going to get 5 wins out of 6 here. If you look at December, Carlisle at home, Cambridge away, Bristol Rovers at home, Burton away, Port Vale away.
What do we
Could
get?
win
We got
up.
about-
We
we got
should be
about
winning
3.
all those games.
Got
4 from 5.
5 points, didn't we? I think we got.
That's
5.
yeah. It's that looks exactly like August to me.
If you were any of
shite in
those
that
teams,
August.
if you were any of those teams at the minute, would you be frightened of Blackpool?
But we've all again.
I would have been at the start of the season.
You know, you look at fixtures, and go, we should win that, but football doesn't work like that, does it? We've all been watching long enough, and you predict a game, you think, well, we'll win that one, lose that one, and it happens the other way around, and that's been for time immemorial, hasn't it? It's just the way it is, and I think if you look back to the start of the season when it was really frustrating when there was the knock it about at the back for 20 minutes. I certainly think we've improved since then, and I totally get your point that when we've come up against the current top 6 teams, we've looked a bit short. But I don't think it's doom and gloom, end of the world, and I don't think his job's at risk.
Nick, I think what Andy's just said will ring true. I think perhaps his job won't be at risk, but if December's results don't go the way they should be going, I think the atmosphere will possibly turn in the ground against him, like Andy said. And then he's a dead man walking, isn't he? It
probably depends on performances, doesn't it? And if we're certainly at home, if we're not on the front foot, there will be a frustration there. And then if you lose, then yeah, I get it. But to flip it, if we are, then everyone's chanting his name, aren't they? The next week, it's it's a fickle thing, isn't it? I've still got faith. We've all been watching long enough to know that things could change massively over the course of a season, and you look dead and buried and then you go on a run. And I don't think we're a million miles away. And like I say, we'll see what January brings in the transfer window. But I've seen a lot worse, that's for sure. And I've still got confidence if nobody else has. It might be the drug. But we'll see.
Well, Bolton have won about 7 on the bounce now, I reckon.
Yeah, but if you look at that, Andy. So if you look at the match stats there, it was a very even game, as the stats there in front of you do kind of suggest. I don't think Bolton were that great, to be honest. I thought Peterborough were better. I thought Derby were a lot better than Bolton. It could have gone either way, but unfortunately, it went their way, didn't it? I mean, we've hit the post. Carey in the first half. Who remembers that drive when he's done that massive centre half, and he inexplicably delayed, and got his shot away when there was a man in front of him. So it was strange from Carey. Do you remember that? Because Fleetwood, he was one touch bang twice in. I don't know what he was doing there. So if that's gone in, if Dembele's shot's gone in, fine margins.
That's what I said. It is. It can be one little thing that makes the difference. And obviously, again, on Saturday, it was the goal, and it was from them, and it was more sickening because I didn't realise at the time it was a lad who had been on our books until the age of, I think, 16, wasn't it? And was released. And then goes and scores a screamer against us.
I don't think it was him who scored. I think Dion Charles who were talking about with you.
It was Thomas.
No,
Thomason.
I'm sure it said in the Gazette that he was with us.
Oh, right. Charles definitely was, but...
Right, I may have got it wrong, but yeah, it kind of came from Thompson's error, didn't it?
I mean, it's still a
somebody's
great
trying
goal.
to make the point that it was Hubby's error, really. Hubby shouldn't have played the ball anyway, or whatever it was.
I mean, Thomas tried to take it down the line, hasn't he? And it's just been blocked, and then it's come back into play. To be fair, it's still a great finish.
Good strike.
It was, and
you could argue that Grimshaw was at fault, but he's just hit it really hard.
He hit it hard, didn't he?
Hard,
Andy. I don't think
no. No, it's because you might have expect Grimmy to push that over.
Mm.
And I'm only playing devil's advocate with it, really.
I'm just laughing because John, you said pre-match we'll just do a brief Bolton summary, and we're currently on 3/4 of an hour.
But the reality is the difference between the two teams is Bolton have had 5 shots on target and we've had none. Although I think that's harsh because to me, Dembele, I always think shots
it's harsh when you
post
hit the
should be
post or bar.
construed as a shot on target, really.
Yeah.
So we did have that one, didn't we? But equally, I can think back and I can think of 4 or 5, including the goal, half decent on target chances that they've had, and there's only Dembele for us.
Pennington should have done better with that header as well. Cross,
Yeah,
clear
he had
header.
it over, didn't he?
And
Got
CJ at the back post when that ball comes across. He was the last person you wanted there. You really wanted Dembele or Rhodes or someone like that back post who would have drilled it hard and low back in.
And that's the thing. If we'd have scored, it finishes 1-1. I think you'd probably always sat there saying that was a fair result because you did have the Dembele chance, you had the Pennington chance, and I know we did. Like I say, we didn't really build up any head of steam and look like it was going to happen. But I think most people would have gone, yeah, a draw was probably a fair result. We shaded the first half. They certainly had the better of the second, and it's fine lines, isn't it?
So you were right, Nick. Thomason was a Pool youth player.
Thank you.
I stand corrected. No, I knew Charles was. That was all. I knew Charles was. But anyway, again, the Dembele chance really was the one, wasn't it? We would have had to have. I accept David. That you'd think that
You think we'd lost 5-1 instead of getting beaten via a very good goal.
Negative.
It's a fair point, David.
It's probably this is just the culmination, David, of
culmination. Andy, that word was in my mind then. Culmination of
It is. It's
more of a season commentary,
poor performances and poor halves, and the manager's still making excuses and saying he's proud of this and proud of that, and every week he's proud of this, and for what? At the end of the day, right? We took 1 point out the last 3 games, or whatever it is. The Peterborough, Fleetwood, and Bolton, where he's saying we're proud of them and whatever. We've had a go, but we were 3-0 down against Peterborough before we had a go, right? We were Fleetwood. We were 2-0 down before we had a go, and at Bolton, I don't think we really had a go.
No.
I think that's a little bit harsh.
Near the end.
I thought I was quite happy with the first half performance. To be honest, I thought it was very even in the first half, and we had it's frustrating with the Carey one. Dembele on another day that does go in, and that was good interplay between Rhodes and Dembele. To be fair, so I think in the second half we stopped playing. Almost certainly stopped playing in the way that we wanted to, and we did, and we reacted to them rather than proactively look to win the game. Which is I'm going back on my old point, but I think it's a bit harsh, Andy, to say that we weren't very good in the first half because I actually thought all right.
What I'm saying is we didn't have a go at them. We didn't really have a go at them. The first half, maybe you cancel each other out, yeah, okay, but second half. There's only one team who was trying to win that game.
I agree.
There's only one team who was setting up, trying to win it. There was only one manager who was thinking, right, how do I win this game? That's how it looks to me, but I might be wrong. But I am in the negative phase, as you can probably
I couldn't
hear.
tell. Oh yeah.
What's the opposite brew to Raggy Aid? Because Andy's on it, isn't he? He's, we'll have to come up with a Gricey version, I think.
It's fed up aid. Fed up. I've had it.
I think you need to use something else rather than aid. It's got to be another word, hasn't it?
It's got to be something more negative.
I'll give you something here.
What drink gets you really depressed? Wine has that effect on me.
Right. So
a wine. There you go.
I've just booked a week away in Lanzarote, right? And and normally the first thing I do before I do that is go to the fixture list and look right at the fixture list.
When you're going
and
away,
say,
Andy,
right,
which one are you missing?
28th of November I fly.
You are missing.
Oh, you're missing Carlisle.
No.
I'm missing Carlisle. No, I'm missing
No.
Carlisle.
I'm missing Northampton. I fly on the day we play Northampton. Normally, I'd have just looked at that and gone, right, I'll go on Wednesday. I'm not too fussed about missing the FA Cup game, but I would never have missed that Northampton game, in normal circumstance. But I'm going to miss it this time.
I'm missing Carlisle. Gutted about that.
So am I.
Oh yeah.
I'm
But
going
that's
to
not-
take some.
What are you doing?
I'm going to
Tim?
take some solace by the fact that I'll be in Barbados watching the cricket.
He's up to you there with Tenerife. I'll be in Liverpool doing my UEFA C course in the pissing rain. Liverpool
It
Health Hospital.
always rains when you do those courses.
Oh yeah.
Guarantee it.
But-
Because you get drenched.
But my real
Let's
point
move on
to this.
Yes, yes. Let's
My
move
real
on.
point to this
Yeah. Right.
is we shouldn't be wanting to feel like this, and we shouldn't be feeling like this. And let's
Right, let's move on
hopefully
to a
it'll
win
get better.
then. Blackpool 2, Morecambe 1. Did anyone go first? Andy, you went, didn't you?
Yeah,
Or did you? Yeah, you went, didn't you?
yeah, I did. Yeah.
Very much a reserve and development side outing, so I don't think we can draw that much from it. Jake
Good to
Beasley
see
scoring a
Gabriel.
brace. Sorry?
Good to see Gabriel
Gabe.
back. That was really good.
Brace from Beasley. Is he in contention?
Beasley took his chances. I'm sure he'll be on the bench on Saturday or in the team. One of the
Brilliant
two.
volley, wasn't it? His first. What a goal.
Good volley, yeah. Good
I
goal.
mean, it took them both well. I don't necessarily think it puts him in the starting 11, but like Critch said, it's giving him something to think about, and that's, I suppose, when you get these chances, that's as much as you can do, isn't it? Against better defenders, would he have scored them? I don't know, but certainly the first goal was very well taken. I suppose with Lavery being injured, it maybe puts him a place on the bench, but then Joseph's back as well, isn't he? So we'll see. And obviously, the other thing was, unfortunately, Tate Trusty got a broken leg, didn't he? It looked an innocuous sort of challenge at the time.
Jamie Oyland on the radio apparently told him, get up.
Get up. He's putting it on.
He did. Although, to be fair, when the stretcher came on, he did say, I apologise, I take it back. I think he realised.
There's nothing else he could say, is there?
Well,
to be fair, it does go back to the fact it did look quite innocuous when it first happened, and
yeah,
I don't think anybody
and
really
they were
thought
even-
he was badly hurt.
they were debating whether it was even a foul, weren't they? Because I think the player was frustrated that he hadn't been allowed to carry on. But it's such a shame for him.
For a young lad, yeah.
He is, yeah, and you just hope it heals well and it doesn't impact his career and he comes back from it. So fingers crossed for a full recovery for him.
Get well soon, Tate. Hopefully it goes well.
Yeah, agreed.
Other things out the game. Casey was back after his 3-match ban, so he captained it. I think he was decent, and again got some good headers in, as he's been doing all year. Really, clearances around the 6-yard box were good, and then the other one for me was Josh Miles made his debut, and he's one for the future that we signed from Southport in the summer. So hopefully that will be one of many appearances. He cramped up in his hamstring, I think, and he'd just done a really good control and spun and played the ball in.
Plus another positive, we're top of the group, aren't we?
Top of the
Played
group.
3-1-3. We're killing it.
What is it,
Bristol
Nick?
Street
Dave's
Motors
Garage
Trophy.
Cup?
I think it's, what's it called? Bristol Street Motors, which
That's the
have
one.
they just got that sponsorship? 'Cause I don't remember it being called that in the couple of games. I might have missed it, but yeah, I mean it's had some over the years, hasn't it? But yeah, I mean it's good to see youth team players getting the chance, and hopefully we have a run in the competition, and he maybe sticks with them, and they get some game time, and who knows, one or two of them could force their way through into the first team. It would be great if they could, or maybe that they get the chance to go all the way to Wembley and he sticks with them,
And to
I
be
think
fair,
it was basically Morecambe's first team, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, they
more than
made 4
competed.
changes, I think, from their team on Saturday, because they needed a point to get through, didn't they? So they were taking it. I know people say the training games, whatever, but they were taking it seriously. I think they had the Morecambe Radio Lancs commentator on as well, and he sort of said it's the worst they've played in a while because they've been on a pretty decent run this season, haven't they? So yeah, it's good to win the group and get through. I don't know if who will play next. It can be one of a number of teams, I think, can't it? But
do you remember on Soccer AM, they used to do the draw in the style
they did
of Bruce's
on Saturday
Play
morning.
Your Cards, right, didn't they?
Yeah.
No velvet bag or ex-winners of the FA Cup drawing the balls out. Helen Chamberlain and Tim Lovejoy playing Bruce's Play Your Cards, right, to do the draw. It's tin pot until
been kind to us over the years, isn't it? That cup.
Yeah. I was going to say, Andy, if he gets to the final, it's great.
Yeah. Anything less is more games.
Right, let's move on to Shrewsbury. This Saturday coming. Tim, we've never beat them, apparently. Some stat, or we've not. They're a bit of a bogey side, are they?
Yeah,
13 games, isn't it?
Yeah, it's literally, it's like we must have one of the worst records against them of any team who we've played in the last 20 years. I couldn't believe. Have you got the stat there, Nick, hand to hand?
I've put it on the. I can't get it up because I'm on my phone, but John, I've put it in the show script.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it was. I think it's the last 13 games they've won 10, and drawn 3. The last time we beat them
1997
at home was 1990. Yeah, and away 1997, and at home 1996. I think something like that. I mean, obviously we want to play them every season, but yeah, it's you look at that and it is a real because they've been pretty poor away from home so far this season. So you kind of look at it and think, should be a home win on paper, but we know it doesn't always work like that. Hopefully we can get rid of that hoodoo. I think Critch said today, we're going to pick the team. Critch said today that the knock that Norburn got against Bolton, and you could see he was struggling. I think he got a crack in the ribs, didn't he? And he's doubtful for Saturday. It'll be a late call, which will be a shame.
He did get a fair old wallop as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. At first, I thought he was just winded, but you could see he was
he'll have
really
bruised ribs or something, won't he?
That's hopefully it's just that and not cracked, because I think if it's cracked, then you really struggle.
Really painful crack.
Yeah,
I've had that. It's
even
really
like coughing
painful.
And moving can be bad, let alone running around on a football pitch. So let's keep our fingers crossed.
Team form Shrewsbury. They concede a lot of goals, but they tend to score a lot. 3-2 Walsall, 3-2 Reading, lost 2-0 to Bolton, beat Colchester 3-2, and lost 2-0 to Wigan. So seem to score a few, seem to concede a few. So
0-0 then.
We have to win on Saturday.
I don't think Norburn's going to be fit, to be honest.
No.
So let's rule him out of our team, and let's move on to them. We'll pick our team, and then we'll bugger off for the evening. So formation, our team.
Back at 3 at the back, me, for this one.
Yeah.
Should we stick with it?
Yeah. So we know it's Grimmy and Nets, don't we?
Yeah. Where's Stuart Moore when you need him?
Injured.
Right, Casey. We've got Casey back, and we've got Marv, who put in a good shift against Bolton, I thought. So
Casey was captain on Tuesday, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Which suggests to me that Critch has a lot of faith in him. I can see Casey coming back in. I'd want him to come back in anyway.
Nick, Andy, do you want Casey over Marv?
Yeah, I think purely
Yep.
for the like we've talked about many times, the the playing out from the back element and the distribution. It's something Marv does struggle with, but he has done well when he's come in. But I think he will revert back to what has been his preferred three for a good chunk of the season when they've been available.
I agree. I think it's got to be Casey Pennington and Hubby, hasn't it?
I'd like to see Casey more potent at our attacking set pieces because he's very good in our box at defending set pieces. So I'd like to see him get on the attack more at our set pieces, if you get what I mean.
Right,
we could do with a good centre-back goal, couldn't we, Andy, from a corner, a power driving header or something like that.
Well, Marv always used to chip in with 3 or 4.
At the north end,
he did.
So.
Pennington nearly did, didn't he, against Bolton?
Nearly's not good enough.
I said to AD where Marv had his back to goal once when we were attacking down the far end at Bolton, and had visions of him spinning and putting one in like he did at Middlesbrough, and it didn't happen. But
wouldn't it be terrible for Marv's confidence dropping him though for this? I think he's played well last 2 games. I think it'd be incredibly harsh to drop in now I think about it.
I don't see anywhere else you play him. If you've faith in Casey, then it's one or the other in my opinion. But those 2 at the back seem to be more at ease with Casey there.
Yeah,
maybe
okay.
I might be wrong. But
let's stick with that then. So let's work on the assumption that Norburn is injured and Kenny is back. So King Kenny, obviously, he's going straight back in. I don't think there's any debate there, is there?
No.
I thought Morgan's done a good job.
I'd play Morgan where you play Norburn.
Is that there? Let's pick the front 2 first, because I think that then makes the others a bit easier.
It's Rhodes, isn't it? And another. And Lavery's not fit. I don't think he's going to play Bees. I think I would. It's Kouassi for me.
What about Joseph?
Yeah, I think he'll be on the bench.
I have a feeling he might start Joseph this Saturday.
I'd start him. I'd give him 60 minutes.
Just got a little bit of a thing that he's going to go for him.
I think he'll be a good foil for Rhodes up there.
Maybe that's why I didn't involve him on Tuesday night.
Who would you pick then, Tim?
I would actually have a punt. I like, I think I'm on record. I like Kouassi, and I think he's got a job to do. I think he might do a better job coming off the bench. But I think I'd start with Joseph. He looks quality to me. I know it's only 15 minutes, but it looked like he had something about him, and I want to see what he can do.
Just laughing at that. He won't.
Yeah, Craig, he's on the grass. He's on the grass now.
Right, I'm voting for Joseph. Nick and Andy.
Kouassi.
Andy.
Not really fussed as long as Dembele sits behind him.
You've not answered the question.
I haven't got an answer to the question, really.
You've the casting vote.
If he abstains, we win, John. If he abstains,
I do see.
I'll make it simple for you. Joseph, abstain, or Kouassi.
No, I see the benefits of all 3 of those, but I'll go Joseph. Go on.
Yeah, there we go. Ha ha ha, Nick.
Just for something different. But I do see the benefits to Kouassi.
Okay, so we've got Morgan and Dougal sitting in midfield, and we're having Dembele floating sort of around behind the front two, aren't we? Although we can't illustrate it on here, but that's who I'm picking. Carey can go on the bench.
So you're dropping Carey.
Yeah.
Not a hope in hell he'll do that.
Well, that's what I'm doing. What are you doing, Tim?
I almost wondered whether to give Dembele but the problem is he doesn't really work with the three at the back, to play Dembele out wide and play Carey, but I don't think it works in the system. So I'm going to go for Dembele, sitting in front of Morgan and Dougal to start. But I don't.
Carey at the moment playing well. Well, he didn't get those shots away against Bolton, but he's playing well. Yeah,
he is right. I mean, if he'd scored against Bolton, as he should have done, then we'd be thinking he'd had another good game, wouldn't we? Which comes back to, is he going to start Dembele? He clearly doesn't think he can play full 90 minutes, which I find strange.
I think we struggle at the start of games to play Carey and Dembele together. Or certainly...
It's one over
unless you play Dembele like up front, effectively Dembele's
yeah,
back in midfield, so then you're leaving Rhodes on his own.
Yeah.
Which I don't think we should do. I think I get the point about Carey at the moment. He is probably in his best bit of form. But I also think we look most likely to create something with Dembele on the pitch.
Agreed.
He's the only one that looks like he's going to unlock.
Yep.
Yeah,
the game,
I think that's the difference. But you
need that bit of unpredictability.
Yeah.
Are we agreed then?
Yeah.
Close one.
Yeah.
It is.
60 minutes then, Kerry. Come on. Okay, wing backs. It should be interesting. Nick, your thoughts?
Well, like I said earlier in the show, I'd love to see Lyons. I think, Gabriel having 45 minutes the other night will really have benefited him. And I wonder if that's with a view to maybe him starting.
I'd start him over CJ. I think CJ needs to be dropped after Bolton. I'd give Gabriel 60 minutes and I'd bring CJ on after that.
To be fair, I don't think you could after that long off give him 45 minutes on Tuesday night and then throw him into a league game at the start. I'm not sure you could do that for his own fitness.
What about?
I might be wrong.
Might be wrong. Yeah, I take your point.
Might be wrong.
What about sticking Lyons in at right wing back then?
I'd have Lyons in my team all the time.
You could play CJ on the left.
So would I.
I love Lyons, and if it's somebody, if someone's going down that left, crossing it in and put it in for Lyons, coming in at the back post, great.
Yeah. What about them? Lyons on the right and play CJ on his strong foot on the left as a left wing back.
I'd play Dale.
Yeah, that's an option as well.
I think that always the danger of not playing CJ is that he's the only one that's got the extreme pace, and I think that's what we've been looking for all the time.
Dale's got a bit of pace.
Maybe
you're
looking. It'd be interesting to see what the difference is, but I think CJ's extreme pace, isn't he? But equally, I do think that he can't play all the time. And when people close that space down, he doesn't have the trickery. You used to see Bowler sometimes when he was playing well. If he hadn't got the space to run in behind, he used to check in a lot and go through between two defenders and try and create some space that way. But CJ seems to have its pace or nothing.
And maybe sometimes coming on,
and he's been
coming
good,
on.
Yeah,
is it gives us a different
when they're
option
tired.
Yeah.
So Dale gets my vote then.
Yeah, mine.
If we're playing Lions, if Gable's not starting, I'd have CJ.
Andy?
I think in that I would still go with CJ. So you could argue either way. It's the same as this Dembele Carey argument. You could put an argument for both.
How are we going to settle
You could
this?
put
Then?
an argument for both.
I think
You control the toys. That you've got the ball, John.
I think CJ's edged it on performances this season. You know, they both played a bit, haven't they? And I think, CJ can be inconsistent. Dale can be. But
I think CJ started too many games for me. I think he just needs a bit of a break, and I think Dale needs to start. And as Tim has said,
CJ's good. He's our best threat and better than Dale.
Dale's got a bit more to his game though than CJ.
He has. But again, you could talk about end product, couldn't you?
Dale's going in.
Oh yeah.
That's Tim's.
That's hurting, that one, I can tell.
Yeah.
CJ can come on after 60.
That's a right one. That's a right dagger straight to the spine, Nick, that, isn't it?
I've had enough of them today. Thanks.
Right, okay.
It's
match predictions before we go.
There, the manager is looking at it after 55 minutes and going, right, how am I going to impact this game positively?
Well, you've got CJ. You've got CJ waiting in the wings, haven't you?
Well, yeah, I'm saying, and he, in that he'd have Kouassi as well.
Yeah.
And, look, there's enough in this squad to do well, right? The manager needs to get it out of them. There's enough in this squad. We all believe in it. The manager has to do it, right? That's what he's paid to do. So,
right, come on,
Neil, wherever you are, be
positive.
Positive.
Right,
be
okay.
Positive.
So we want positivity. So give us all your predictions in a minute. Right, Andy, your prediction and why?
4-1 Blackpool, because Critchley's juggling for his managerial status here. So in my eyes, so he needs to attack and be positive. Put us all in a good mood.
Tim, based on that team we've picked,
3-1 Blackpool.
Nick, we have to win this game, I think, don't we? I think we need to make a statement here. So, your thoughts on it?
Well, it would certainly be nice to, and to put in a decent performance with it. I am going to go 3-0 Blackpool.
If we just pick that team we've done, I'm going to go. Shrewsbury have a lot of 3-2s out there. I'm going to go for 3-2 Blackpool. I think we're still quite shaky at the back. So Blackpool 3, Shrewsbury 2. But as Tim said, it's probably going to be 0-0.
I think I said 3-0 actually, David. So I wasn't that far off. And listen, we can't listen. A podcast legend, Nappers, has picked up some silverware today. Apparently,
what?
According to I saw a picture of him on Twitter. He's where's the message? Somebody just said, "Oh yeah, Phil Hornby there. Congratulations to C Bomber Nappers, who's just won silver at the Football Content Awards tonight."
Well, was a comment?
Phil Hornby just a little bit further up. So well done, Nappers.
Yeah, well done, Nappers.
I saw him in his suit before, standing by the the entrance thing, looking like he was going to the Oscars or something.
I wonder if he dropped a C-bomb when he was collecting his award.
I don't know. He scrubbed up well for somebody from Fleetwood. I thought he'd have been there with his trawler gear on.
In all seriousness, I wouldn't begrudge him anything after what he went through with his illness and everything. So fair play to him.
He does well with his podcast, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So well done, Nappers. Let's leave on a positive, right?
Blackpool Transport want to give him a few bricks back that they found on the tram.
Right. I think it's time to go, isn't it? We said this would be a very brief show, but it has been over 115. If you you look down on the banner there, if you want to help support the show, patreon.com/seasiderspod. You can also help support the show by liking and subscribing on YouTube. Plenty of people do watch this, but you don't subscribe, so do us a big one. Hit the subscribe button, and we'll be coming back after the Shrewsbury game at some point. Right, it's been an arduous pod, gents, but good nonetheless. And thanks for joining us. All remains to be said is thanks for watching. Thanks for downloading. Up the pool. Up the pool.
Up the pool.
Up the pool.